Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We've got a great show lined up for you. I'm Harvey Freed. To my right, Becky Alley.
Good morning, everybody. And I was corrected yesterday when I did my promo. I said that we're in like summer because it's like fall, but it's really summer. But really, we're technically summer till, Tuesday officially? So
Becky,
happy summer
excuse my
still.
white pants that I decided to wear today. I don't
That's
even
like
know.
an
They're
old-fashioned
bone.
faux pas. Like white after Labor Day is still in style. Okay?
Good stuff. We got a great guest. Michelle Saward, of course, joins us from eXp Real Estate, a big player here. Hey.
Well, good morning. Thank you. And
Broker Michelle Saward, just not real estate agent, broker. You got the extra title.
all the things.
No, Michelle really is all the things. So we were talking before that, before we come in the studio, I feel like sometimes the real conversations happen like in between the breaks and like before when we're getting all like jazzed up. But like anytime you're in a room or can be in a room or even have a conversation with Michelle over the phone, she is going to add value. So anytime we can have her in the studio with us, we know that our viewers, our listeners are going to be they're going to walk away with something that maybe they didn't know before. And sometimes it is like blocking, tackling when we're in here because it's layups. It's like helping our consumers understand that home ownership isn't something that has to evade them, but you take it to the next level as far as even just life conversations. Cause I feel like I'm on my fourth life just this year.
You are.
So I feel like we've been through some things, but you bring a next level experience that is just next level.
Well, thank you. I thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm a person who believes in preparedness. Like you always make jokes with me because I always come with like some notes or something like that. But look, I've been doing this 25 years. And even when I go on an appointment, I will bring like just tons of information when I'm meeting with a home seller because I want to be over prepared because I just, you never know which direction the conversation is going to take and where you really need to study. And we were having some conversation before I walked in or before the radio show started this morning about the level of or lack of preparedness that we see in this marketplace. And it just always amazes me that when we're here to serve the public, that we would come not prepared, for those conversations. There's so much information available to us as real estate agents. It's so you just grab it and go.
And not everyone's cut out of the same, thing. So, a lot of people like to communicate like intensively. I'm over the top sometimes. I'll go from one subject. You guys are always picking on me. I'll go from one subject to the next.
That's why we love you though, Harvey.
Well, I'm going to bring some energy. But yeah, sometimes people can wing it. And sometimes they can't. They need to bring some notes and sort of figure things out. And everyone's thought process is different. I seem to treat everyone the same. And I think sometimes you need to be like more like a little bit, hey, can I mold into what these people are saying or what their thought process is? But at the end of the day, Becky says blocking and tackling, the basics of selling your home or buying a home, you've got to get those fundamentals down because that way you're going to be prepared for what's coming up. That offer, if the offer goes over asking, we're going to talk all about that buying and selling all morning long.
It's about a foundation. I mean, a foundation in life, a foundation in what you're trying to do. I mean, we're all like one decision away from changing our life, and it's all about that belief system. And, I was put on this world to do something, and it's just manifested through changing people's lives through real estate and and I can see things for people that they can't necessarily see for themselves. And like you said, when you show up with a conversation prepared, people are going to just meet you where they are. And sometimes where I'm here, they might be there, but I know what it was like to be there. So I can go back and I can meet them there and help them maybe evolve their thought process to be like, oh, I can fix my credit. I don't have to rent for the rest of my life. And that's a beautiful thing. But the fact that with the experience level that you have, Michelle, that you do show up with notes on, you do your research, you know who you're meeting, and no matter what scenario is, you know how to pivot, and it's not really coming from a place of selling because you've been there, done that. You're really genuinely trying to help these people.
Well, thank you. I will just accept that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, also, guys, the Federal Reserve, of course, lowered the benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points. The range between 4 and 4.25%. Now, that's the Fed funds rate. The good news is it's been the first cut in a long, long time. So it's definitely headed in the right direction. Housing demand, will it peak up? There were some people on the sidelines, Becky. We had some folks that said, maybe I'm going to wait for the rates to drop. Will they have? I mean, they're definitely a lot lower than they were 12 months ago.
They're full percent.
Maybe even 8. Yeah, 4% lower.
They're 4% lower, and this is where, and it's kind of a weird market. And I know Michelle's going to jump in on this, but it's like right now buyers can really win not only with the offers, because even though it's technically a seller's market in our area because there is still like less than 6 months supply and all the things, houses are sitting longer, and buyers really are not jumping on these opportunities because I do feel like they've been in a little bit of fatigue, and they're automatically now conditioned to think that, well, I'm not going to win now, and I'm not going to even submit my offer. And I have now agents now asking me, hey, do you have a buyer for Wyandotte, or do you have a buyer in this area? Do you have a buyer in this price point? And right now, buyers, like, you can win. You can get possibly concessions. The interest rates are a full percent better than they were this time last year. And if you are renting or not renting, you're trying to right size like this, there really is some opportunity right now.
God, you're speaking my language. Like, I'm like, oh, she's feeding right into where I want to go next.
Yeah.
Is that I was looking at this stuff before, I came on this morning, and the average days on market for Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, it's all pretty much the same. It's not like you're going to win stronger in one market or the other. Okay, what are we talking? Between 20 and 38 days. Like, that's the range that we're talking about for those 3 counties. So it's not like one is trumping the other. But what is happening right now is that we are noticing, like, style condition premiums. People are paying for that. Like, they're paying for.
Yes.
They're paying, like, they're buying faster for sure, and they're buying in very short amount of days on market for condition. Why? Budget conscious buyers and more negotiations as a result of home inspection. A much more economically, like, smart and conservative, sort of buyer that we have right now. They're minding their P's and Q's. They're really watching their dollars right now. But we're noticing also the higher price points, some slowdowns with days on market. They're taking longer to sell, again, referencing those buyers being more, like, economically conscious of, like, what's happening with their money right now. So the higher price points, we're not seeing us move as quick. But me being downriver, crazy. I was looking specifically, all arrows were pointing to Southgate right now. Extremely strong in Southgate. 11% up year over year in
huge.
Southgate. And that just goes right down to affordability and, like, what is a great value going on now. So it's just really interesting to see when you compare and contrast to, like, Brownstown. Like, those are a little longer days on market, like 20 some odd days, versus Southgate, like 7 days, 11% escalation. It's pretty wild with that mindset of the buyer right now.
So do you think with the difference between Southgate and Brownstown, people think it's more of, like, is because it's the higher price point?
Yes.
It's considered more luxury?
Yeah, Brownstown does have a higher price point, right? Like, you could be up to $500,000 in Brownstown, right? And Southgate is more like the 200,000 marker. And Trenton is where my office is a strong number 2, for, okay, this is a good price point, a healthy price point that's still moving relatively quickly. But I've also heard, and this is where the issue comes for us as real estate agents, what we hear in the market and then what the numbers show 30 days after it's happened, like Wyandotte has become, really developed. I mean, the downtown area is alive. They've demolished a lot of houses, building new construction.
Down there. Yeah.
It's so cool down there. But, like, I'm even hearing from the buying public, man, our first choice was Wyandotte. And we settled on Southgate, or we moved, we chose Southgate. Man, our first choice was Woodhaven, but, Southgate just made sense. Like, we're hearing a lot of that.
Old bones, some good old homes. And if you talk about Southgate or Trenton, just those areas, and let's just, there's these in Oakland County, they're in Macomb, they're all over, of course, the United States. Good old homes. Now, if they've been updated, those are flying off the market.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, people are conscious about the dollars it's going to take to put the house the way they want to make it. And those houses that are in moving condition, this younger generation, they're looking for those.
Yeah.
And we ran into one. I had a client who's working with, of course, a great agent out there. The house is gorgeous. It's been in the market for 55 days. So sure enough, I took a look at it. A little bit of obsolescence near commercial buildings. Off of a little bit of a major road. So there's reasons why someone might not be interested in the house. Now, our clients are very interested in the house for all sorts of reasons. The number one reason, it's in moving condition. It's a newer home.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, the affordability has been like a plaguing issue. And so the misconception in the public is when the Fed cuts the rates, right? I'm air quoting whoever's watching us on Facebook. It doesn't have a direct line to mortgage interest rates. That has a more of a direct effect on your short-term lending, which is exactly what the average consumer needs, which is your credit card interest rates, your student loans, the home equity lines of credit. The car loan rate is insane right now. So this is direct reprieve on these kinds of things. The mortgage rates tend to follow the 10-year treasury bond. So we did see, so when they announced the the cut, there actually was a pullback on the interest rates where it actually had the opposite effect. Now, just so you guys know, the average consumer, the same interest rates are on every lender's rate sheet. I can see 5%, I can see 10%, I can see everything in between. It's really what's behind the rate that changes whether you're paying money for that interest rate or you're not. So those are the things that really change on our side of things. And they change daily. And when it's really volatile right now, they change sometimes multiple times a day. So when we're urging someone to secure a rate, there's a reason for that, because we will do a one-time negotiation where if the rates, let's say we lock in, for example, 6.25, and the rates pull back and now I can get you 6%. We can do a one-time float down at no additional cost a lot of times, because we want to make sure that we're staying competitive with the market. So when we're urging someone to lock, a lot of times there is no risk there, because if they go up, you're going to be upset. But if they go down, who cares? Because we can capitalize on that.
We'll talk about all those great opportunities, of course, with lower interest rates. Any of the folks that bought in the last couple of years, they might be paying mortgage insurance. Maybe you put 3, 5, or 10%, less than 20% down. You're still paying PMI. And what we're seeing, as you mentioned, Michelle, a lot of the areas might be at 5 to maybe even up to its 15% appreciation. Maybe if you've been in the house for now over 2 years, not only you might be able to get a lower interest rate, but remove the PMI. We're always talking about more money in your pocket and a monthly savings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things right now. A lot of the calls that I'm getting to are the individuals that bought last year, and we talk about it often. It's property taxes, because the summer tax bill just came out. And now if you bought last year, odds are your taxes reassess, and now you're getting that mortgage statement here in September coming for October, and your payment's going up. I have a gentleman, he bought last year. It's a perfect timing to refinance. We already were having the conversations to put him in a better position. And then I was like, hey, I noticed your taxes went up a little bit. Did you get that statement yet? And he was like, you know what, Becky, it just came yesterday. And now you're talking about a $400 payment increase. Ooh. So after the break, I want to dive into that and how we can help you overcome that obstacle.
All right, I'm glad you brought it all up. Yeah. All right, those taxes were due usually in most cities, probably September 15th. We're already at September 20th. Welcome here. Fall's in the air, and we've got a lot of sports coming up after our show, so keep here on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll take your calls on real estate and mortgages, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Alrighty, I got to say that also here. It is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. You can call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE. We're powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820 Equal Housing Lender. Special guest, real estate guru, Michelle Saward.
Of course,
eXp
she is
Realty.
a little bit of a guru.
Hey, can I drop this to you guys? We were in a sports station, had a lot of fun last night. Got a chance to be a referee, of course, to the homecoming, Troy Athens versus Farmington. And boy, the boys from Athens, they took it on the chin a little bit. But boy, what a great group of people out at Troy Athens. I'm telling you, I got into the sports officiating because I love community. This place was packed with 3,000 people, hospitable people. Oh my God, they offered us food and drinks. It was absolutely a wonderful scene. And that sense of community, folks, if you haven't gone to a high school football game, get out there and get a feel of what's going on in the community. There's so many opportunities to meet new people, new neighbors. This is what it's all about. When we talk about home ownership, renters, you don't know your neighbor. You're renting, man. You're in and out of there. You might say hi or wave or something. Home ownership has a whole different thing going on here. And again, you move into a great community, and thanks to the AD out there, Todd, just unbelievable. I love that warm, fuzzy feeling. It makes me want to keep doing this officiating stuff, Becky. So much fun.
So that's the secret side of Harvey that comes out of him. So when you talk to his professional self and you think he's very intense, he's actually very soft and kind. And
thanks, Becky.
He enjoys being around the kids and building that community. So shout out to the soft version of Harvey. And you're a very well-rounded person. Okay, so before the break, I do want to bring up the taxes because this is a whole thing. So this individual, he, like I said, I know him very well. We talked about what the tax we're going to adjust to most likely. And, you're talking going from the summer tax bill alone went from $1,600 to $3,900. Now that is and then so when you have to reassess the taxes, you're going from a $1,600 payment to $2,000. Well, because I'm aware of all these things, I already was having this preemptive conversation. And just as I predicted, you got the mortgage statement. So now here we are in the middle of this refinance or about to start it. And now I'm able to pull back his interest rate, reset the escrow account. It was already a part of the game plan that we're going to do. And now his payment is going to be less than what it was during the purchase. And it's going to allow him the opportunity to save money, reduce the interest rate, and not have to pay this $4,000 over 24 months to realign the escrow.
I'm going to say super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm in the business of helping people buy and sell homes, but I couldn't be more excited for people to be able to refinance right now. Because we're hearing it across the board. There are people who are just at the point of are you kidding me right now? And, you've said it a million times before, Becky, if you're paying 26% on a credit card, then it just makes sense to reset your whole life right now, right? And get those things down to affordable. So it just frees up more liquidity in the market overall when you do that, and putting yourself in a good position to win in the long term. So, I just think it's the intelligent thing to do is to have that conversation.
Yeah. And so it's a non-threatening conversation because if we look at it and if it doesn't make sense, we're having that conversation. No, we're about 6 months away from maybe the equity being there or maybe just what your lifestyle is going to change. Maybe you're going to move and it just doesn't make sense to do that. We're going to tell you that because again, it's your timeline, not ours. But when you own a home, that is net tangible equity in there. And it's not to tap into it to use and abuse it. It is to really just set yourself on the next level. That's what it's there. And, people say, well, I want to buy a house and I have $50,000 equity. Okay, cool. But that's irrelevant unless you actually pull it out. It's just like the stock market. You can have all this stock, but if you take it out at a loss, it's a loss. If you take it out at profit, it's a profit. So you can you can use the equity in your home, not a piggy bank. But I have a lot of individuals that they have been they're bleeding money, and you look at it, and now we're saving them $1,000 a month. You can do so much with $1,000 a month. You can put it towards your principal, drive that balance down. You can now knock out other credit cards that maybe we couldn't maybe take care of in a refinance or a home equity line or whatever it is that you're doing. But even car loans, it's insane. Now you can, people have financed cars for their children and now they're looking to qualify. And now that car loan that they weren't thinking because they were trying to help their child get into a better position, it's now affecting them and what their affordability is. So these Fed fund rate cuts and different things, we're here to help you move the money and make it financially worth it and, make it make sense for you.
It's purchase power, no doubt about that. Lower interest rates means you can afford a little bit more. And I was going through some numbers with the agent yesterday, and sure enough, purchase power. So we were looking at the property taxes, and boy, oh boy, these things have jumped up over the last 5 or 6 years. It's just very noticeable nowadays. And sometimes you might look at a community at $6,000 a year annual tax. That's $500 a month. Yeah. Now, when you get into $8,000 or $9,000 a year in property taxes, now you're up to $627, closer to $700 a month just for the property taxes. So again, one community might have a lower property tax and allows you to purchase a little bit more expensive home in that particular community. Let's talk about some other things.
Wait a minute, I would stay there for one more second.
Oh, let's stick with it.
Okay, because I want to talk to Michelle on this part, because a lot there, so real estate is
purchase power, Beck.
Yeah, purchase power and all that, but it's not just primary residence. There's a lot of people that want to get investing.
Oh yeah,
that is like, so when we're talking about these taxes, uncapping, well, now when you're looking at an investment property, I want to now build my real estate portfolio. I want to acquire 5 homes in 5 years, we'll say. Okay. Yep. So now where you're buying matters, because now you're looking at non-homestead taxes. And for example, like Hazel Park, those taxes could be up to $12,000. It's nuts.
Well, there's a double whammy here.
Yes.
So your taxes are going to be uncapped. Mm-hmm. So if you're buying something that was, grandma's house or a estate sale, and they've been there for, 40 years, 20 years, whatever, and those look like cute little baby taxes on the advertisement, you're like, oh, it's totally manageable. Well, then you're going to have the uncap. And then you're going to add roughly an additional 30% for the non-homestead rate. So they will charge you if it's not your primary resident as a secondary home. So there's by consulting with a professional real estate agent or mortgage lender, there's things that you can do to see what makes sense. Like if you're buying your lake house that you're going to retire to, and it's way more expensive than your one that you're living in now, it might make sense to declare that as your primary residence in the state of Michigan, your second home, and turn your one that you're actually living in into your non-homestead. So there's things that you should take a look at to see what makes financial sense when you're considering buying an investment property.
That's an old point, and it's brilliant. Absolutely. Always find out different things you can do by calling the professionals. These are things that we always open folks' eyes up to. And I had a client reach out to me talking about maybe refinancing the Florida property. Well, we've decided now to potentially do the Michigan refinance to pay off the Florida home, because their closing costs down in Florida with the intangible tax. They have some other fees down there that are heavy. Right. So they definitely would be better off just refinancing up here. All right. Historically speaking, Becky, only, we talk about Michigan being a 365. Now, years ago, it was always, hey, it's loom and gloom here in the winter, but not anymore with all the competition. But yeah, still historically speaking, fall and winter provide lighter competition. Mm-hmm. So now we've got lower rates, potentially a little bit lighter competition. And how about this? Realtor.com, I don't know what they know, but they say U.S. home buyers, the week of October 12th through the 18th is the best time to buy a house. I don't know how they figured that out.
I don't know.
12th through the 18th. Okay. So you're going to don't go on vacation that week.
Look, we still have low inventory. The market is still rising in price, but cooling at the same time. As I mentioned, there's a discrepancy on some of the higher price ones sitting on the market a bit longer because we have just a more mindful consumer right now. People aren't just flinging cash around it's, payday, and feeling really good and, stabilized in their financial situation.
People are afraid.
They're being mindful of their dollars right now. So still low inventory when you consider the total number of available houses in contrast to the number of people buying. That's what's happening right now. So it's not right now going into, which is when I say a bit cooling, it's not as aggressive with the multiple offer situations. They still exist. Southgate, as I mentioned, seems to be one of the most interesting markets right now, with how 11% year over year. Okay, so they've gone up quite a bit, but we're still seeing competitive, but it's not as competitive as it was a year ago, 2 years ago. And at the higher price points, look, you can negotiate some stuff. Like I said, inspections, much more negotiable. I want to say this because you totally triggered me, and I know we're going to run into a commercial here in a second, but when you said about stocks, what I find so interesting is that when the stock market is high, people are like, yay, have you seen the stock market? Woohoo! And when you take a look at the real estate market and home prices are high, people are like, boo, home prices are high. Boo. And I'm like, if you own real estate and it's part of your portfolio, when home prices go up and you own real estate, you should be cheering just as much with joy as you would for the stock market.
Well, the same too.
If you own it,
yeah,
you should be happy that it's going up.
I mean, that even triggers me to like, this looming housing bubble that everyone thinks is going to be happening, right? The ingredients just aren't there. And, on the flip side of it, everyone's upset when their house wasn't worth a lot and they didn't want to pay the taxes. But now here it is. Your home is appreciating in value. You have a tangible asset that you can tap into, but then they also don't want these taxes to come along with it as well. And so it's like, pick your poison. And like you said, it is a beautiful thing that we have been in this appreciating market. And even if it just becomes stable and, maybe it goes up 2%, I mean, that is better than anything, because if your stock was appreciating even at a 2% increase, that's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, and it proves that, like, and even when we're talking about 365, so Michigan has been, like all year round, but I do feel like we have stepped into this year where it did react very seasonally like it used to. There was a true spring summer market here in Michigan. I feel like there's been a pullback in September. I feel like we felt it last year. I looked at stats and numbers. And then I do kind of agree with it because people do step in a little bit more in October again. They get aggressive. There's something, I think, with the school season, end of summer, vacations, but September definitely does seem to be where people pull back on even on mortgage applications. But then I do think we pick up come, October. We're going to start seeing that.
No doubt. 2025 housing market is giving buyers something they haven't had in a long time, and that's some options. That's what we're talking about this morning. You got options out there. Be sure to call Capital Mortgage Funny, a 1-800-LOW-RATE. Get that strong approval letter. We communicate with all the agents involved. We make the transaction seamless. And again, that's the whole idea. You want a nice, smooth process. Build that confidence. Get a real, true approval letter. Hey, when we come back, all your calls, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. It's 8:30 here, and of course, good old Southeast Michigan. Look, folks, I slept on the other side of the bed last night. We got to break this Tigers losing streak. Hey, guys, if you're headed down to the ballpark today, just turn things around a little bit. This is AJ's favorite show here because we don't talk baseball and stuff, but keep it here on 97.1 all day long. Mark and Pat are coming up next at 9 o'clock. They're going to be broadcasting downtown. Got our Red Wing tickets go on sale. There's a lot of cool things here. Of course, Monday Night Football out in Baltimore. The Lions are going to be taking on the Ravens. So we got a lot of cool stuff in here. And the weather's just been outstanding in Michigan. I mean, Jimmy Fallon was in town last week. I think he still stayed. I think he might be calling you, Michelle. He might need a house
cool.
on Grosse Ile or something. So definitely keep it here. 8:31 if you're joining us again. We take your calls. 248-539-9797. Mortgages and real estate all morning long.
Yeah, so I was at the game last night, and it was still a good vibe. I mean, we had the fireworks. I mean, and if you haven't been to Comerica Park, you got to go, especially on a Friday night, because that firework display is, even at win, lose, I mean, you can't leave there in a bad mood after seeing that amazing display of fireworks. So the Tigers are going to turn around. I mean, sports in Michigan, you got the Lions, we got Tigers, you got the Wings, Pistons. I mean, it's a good time, and it's a good vibe, win or lose, I think, down there.
We're going to bury a St. Joe in center field. If I can sneak out, if anyone's got their St. Joes, get them down to Michelle Saward. These real estate agents know how to dig up the ground, and they put it in the ground, and then good things happen to your home.
That's it. Bring out all of your, like, light a candle,
bury some rose quartz,
your St. Joe, get your horseshoes, like whatever you got to do, keep the good juju. That's
Nationally, of course, house hunters can expect some listing jumps. Let's go right there after the real estate stuff. Listings are definitely up. 13 days additional on the marketplace. This is nationally speaking here. Mm-hmm. But as you mentioned, Michelle, here Southeast Michigan, 28 days to like 38 days on the market. You get a house on the market, price right. There's multiple bids.
That's it.
Your house is going to be sold quickly. Listen to your top-notch real estate. And when they come to your home and they're prepared, that's the person you want to work with. And we started talking about that even off the air, how important it is to be with the professional folks. I'm still amazed that sometimes we don't get callbacks, and other agents are telling me this. So we talked about it a little bit. Folks, if you're a real estate agent, the most important thing you can do, I know you're busy in a showing, pick up the phone. It takes 2 seconds. I mean, I know, folks, you guys are glancing at your Facebook every 10 minutes. So definitely there's an opportunity to make that return phone call.
Oh, my gosh. You guys I swear you get in my brain before I even walk in the door. It's like you tune into what I'm thinking before I even get here. This is why the energy is so good in the room. But I mean, oh God, I don't know. You just make me speechless with this conversation.
Oh, no, I'll go through it. So, again, returning
phone
call.
You
gotta talk. No, but
returning
like you do make me speechless with this conversation. You gotta be, if you don't, this is the PSA for all realtors and mortgage lenders out there. I know you're going to be like, Michelle, you're turning against us and my own people. But we collectively talk about each other. We will say, hey, you know who's a really great responsive lender? You know who's not? You know who is a really great cooperative real estate agent to work with? You know who's not? Mm-hmm. Do you know what kind of mistakes this other person made? Watch out. Like literally, I called my friend Al Abdullah last night in Dearborn. Shout out.
Yeah, he's a great
Realty.
He's probably watching too.
Al.
Shout out to Al.
Shout out to Al. I called him yesterday to say, hey, I'm looking at this listing. I know you personally know the listing agent. You guys are, I thought you guys were buddies. Tell me how this agent's brain works so I know how to pitch my proposal to this agent. Like, this is the kind of conversations that a lot of the public doesn't see, but that goes on behind closed doors. So, this is why it's so important to call people back. Be on your A game. Be honest. Tell the truth to the consumer and to the public. Like, literally, I got an agent referral this week that was a little bit out of my market and a little bit out of reach for me. Okay, could I have pushed my boundary and tried to figure it out and make it work? I could have, and it would have been nice to make the commission, but I just decided hard pass. I'm not even going to take the referral agreement that they're offering me, the commission on this. I'm just going to give it to the expert in the area. Now, I didn't stand to make $1 off of that, but it's knowing your own limits, your own boundaries, your capabilities, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And you're just like the sports analogy, right? You've got to pass the ball when it's appropriate to pass the ball. You've got to like run the play when you could run the play, right? But knowing where your strengths and your weaknesses are and being honest in your delivery about that. So keep in mind, like I said, real estate agents do talk amongst each other. And then the other thing too, this is as I'm on my soapbox, realtor, public service announcement.
You're a trainer. You're used to training folks.
You are, you're a coach.
But this is also really good information for buyers out there to know that the rules changed a year ago in August with the National Association of Realtors in a lawsuit, right? So this word I feel like hasn't completely even gotten out there to the public just yet, is that your real estate agent representing you as a buyer is going to need to have you sign an agreement. I don't care if it's even to see one house before you set foot in the door to take a look at that property. It is now the law. You have got to have a signed agreement for representation before you should be looking at property with your real estate agent. That's how it's going right now. And I heard, which is a little scary, the multiple listing service is doing random checks to see, hey, real estate agent, we know you have this SentryLock remote code Bluetooth to your phone to get access to the property. We saw that Michelle Saward went into this house on Tuesday at 4:00. We, as the MLS, are doing a cross-check. Can you please send us a copy of your buyer's agency agreement that you had the right to access that property and that you were representing a buyer? And send us that. If you don't have that contract, you will get fined. So,
no more checks and balances on that side of things.
They're getting so strict on this. And our brokerage specifically is making sure there are different dates and timestamps on contracts. So you have your buyer's agency agreement signed first, and then the purchase agreement signed secondly. They can't be signed simultaneously at the same time. So I know this sounds like a little scary. I know this must be some crazy eXp Realty stuff. But look, we know what's coming, and so we're being very proactive with it. And we see the writing on the wall, and we hear it from other states about how serious this issue is, that it should not be taken lightly. So please, buyers, do not be alarmed if you feel like this real estate agent's being really aggressive, asking you to sign an agreement. This is now how the game is played.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is that's going to separate the players from the pretenders. You can't wait for something to be happening. You're already foreseeing it. And, real estate hasn't been, regulated like lending side. Like there's a big giant boot on any lender's neck. We have to be checks and balances. We have to communicate. Any change that we make, it's got to be overly documented. We have to ask for certain things. So obviously the things that we're asking for, we have to have. And the same now goes for the real estate agents. There's more of a, you guys are being monitored now to make sure that people are truly being represented by professionals. And oftentimes I'll show you the first house and you're not even pre-approved a lot of the times. There's a reason why you also need to have a pre-approval to actually look at some homes, because the days of a real estate agent wanting to drive around to show you 3 houses only to find out that you really don't have the $100,000 you claim in your bank account, that's the days in the past as well, because it is a competitive market. It is something where people don't want their time wasted, but we also don't want to waste your time either.
Yeah, and let me be clear so the buying public doesn't freak out. You can get a one-time showing agreement signed to see one house.
Yeah.
So if you don't know me and you're like, how am I supposed to trust this lady for a 6-month, 3-month commitment, like off the rip over the phone? No, it can be a one-time agreement to see one house and then it's over. And if you like us and you want to continue working, cool.
Yeah, try them on.
Then fine. But I'm just saying, it's not like you have to lock in over the phone. But I've been hearing this is super weird for buyers. Like, what do you mean before I can get in, you want me to sign an agreement to see a house?
But it's important that they know, though, that you are allowing them the opportunity. You're showing up as your professional self, but we're not marrying each other. This isn't like this contract where we're locked doom and gloom. Some agents don't give them that one day try on, though.
Right.
And they really are trying to secure someone for 3-6 months. And, I feel like if it doesn't vibe, let them go, because there is a yes and a no a lot of the times.
Look, I'm trying to buy you one drink at the bar or a cup of coffee. Yeah. I'm not saying we have to go to dinner together for,
speed dating.
Like, I'm not saying we have to go to the Tiger game, go to dinner, go for ice cream. I'm not saying that.
Now, there's 2 things that you also brought up that I want to touch on is, when you're talking about how agents talk to each other, that's where we hear, like, even in life, collaboration over competition, right? But it's collaboration and competition at the same time, because you are going to compete with some of your peers on the same listings. But that's where that collaboration comes into play, because at the same time, your name is also going to be coming in on some of those offers. So you do have to know how to balance both sides to be a strong voice in the market and know your craft. Like you said, you show up with your own page of notes and how you're going to come into it. So you are always showing up the next level for betterment for yourself and for your clients. But you also know how to reach across the table and say, hey, I've never worked with this co-op agent. what is it like when you're reaching out to someone like that's also high level like Al, and that's that speaks a lot about you as well.
Yeah,
that great communication is so key. So last Sunday, literally going out on a cast, like getting out on the water, gorgeous weather, and we were calling the listing agent, gave me a call.
You got to sell my listing on Cast Lake, whoever.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that after. So sure enough, our offer didn't get accepted. We found out Monday morning, and we were bummed. Guess what? We got the call on Wednesday. The other transaction fell through. I don't know if the guy lost his job. Bad things can happen quickly. And sure enough, we were the second in line. That great communication got our buyer the house. Inspection was done yesterday, and we're moving forward with a great house. Talk about great opportunities out there. Just that communication. That listing agent already knew that we were all set. He had a great backup offer, and how key that is.
That's a big deal. Yeah, because it's trust, right? Like there's, as a professional real estate agent, it's so hard to, it's no matter who you are, it sucks to deliver bad news. It sucks for that real estate agent to say, hey, I got bad news. Offer number 1 fell through, but if we can call and say, bad news, offer number 1 fell through, but I've got really good news because offer number 2, that was our backup, is ready to play. They have it locked into another property. Let's just continue to move forward with offer number 2. So, I mean,
so key.
It's keeping the temperature, right? We're the professionals. You have to keep the temperature. So if you're like, oh man, oh my gosh, it just fell through, right? That's going to make that buyer feel a little certain way. But if you have that resolution on the other end of the phone, it's about pivot so the deal doesn't perish. And it's just making sure that we have, we're always looking for the solution, not the problem.
That's right.
When we come back to, I'm going to talk about days on market and the differences between like when it was flying off the shelf in 5 days and now you're having that temperature in the room, like we were talking about, where it's like now it's 30 days. How are you having those conversations?
All right, 8:42 here in Metro Detroit. Keep it on 97 on the tickets. The Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. I feel the vibe. Detroit's coming back, Becky. Tigers, that's right. We're going on a winning streak today.
Go Detroit.
Go Detroit.
All sports.
All right, guys. Put the bat on the ball. Be selective at the plate. I'm over here going to give some batting tips or something. I'd like bring all the other guys off the bench. Just try to change the vibe out there downtown. Get down to the ballpark. Definitely 2 games left. You've got 2 against Atlanta today, starting at 1 o'clock. 1:10 is the first pitch. 12:45 coverage here on 97.1 The Ticket. Keep it here. Of course, if you're a baseball junkie, you got all sorts of college football. I'm not even going to go there. 8:46 if you want to join us up till 9 o'clock. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Again, I'm Harvey Free. She's Becky Alley. Michelle Saward joins us from eXp Realty. We continue on for another 14 minutes or so, and then Pat Caputo and Mark Ryan with sports.
Yeah, so if you are driving and you want to call in and pick our brains, give us a call, 248-539-9797. It's, we love hearing from like even just what your experiences have been like in this housing market, whether you are getting back onto, getting off the bench and getting back into the market because the rates have dropped. I mean, like I said, you're looking at a full % reduction since this time last year, and people were buying, right? And if you need to refinance as well, that is an option, but you don't know what you don't know. So just give us a call. If it makes sense, we'll figure it out. If it doesn't, we'll also figure that part out for you. So it's important. And I want to kind of talk about the seller expectations.
Oh,
okay.
Let's.
So, and Michelle, she's been on the show frequent and often because, again, anytime I can be in proximity with this woman over here and pick her little brain and get on that vibration, it's a beautiful day. So, we're talking like back in 2017 when and we're talking about like, homes sitting for like 60 days. And that was like, and how, agents had to get creative to sell homes. And then now here it is, if a house doesn't sell in 2 weeks, people are clenching their pearls and be like, what are we going to do? Their hair's on fire. So like, and as the market kind of churns and burns, because the only thing that stays the same is change, especially in real estate, like how are you controlling that and having those conversations, even though we're in a seller's market and homes are sitting a little bit longer than what they were accustomed to even 12 months ago? Yeah.
So this is so great. Okay. Everyone listening, tune in. A normal market is like 60 to 90 days on market. Like a real estate agent actually has to do something to help this house sell. It's not just like, boom, put a sign in the ground and you have like a herd of buyers rushing your front lawn for multiple offers. It's not like that right now. Not for everybody. When I say that earlier, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb counties, average days on market is between like 23 and 38. That's like the range. It doesn't matter which county you're in. If you're in the Metro Detroit area, hey, this is what it is. So do not freak out. Do not despair. And, if you're in a situation where you just need to do like a price adjustment and realign, okay, great. Because as I said, we still have low inventory in the market. However, we are seeing that gap and we're seeing that mindful consumer. So if you are in a situation, which I've got one right now, they're paying a premium price, and so they expect a premium house, right? Then you're going to have to make sure you're doing those things to put it in the premium condition. Mm-hmm. Like we got some bad furnace, bad central air, report come back on the home inspection. Like, but if people are going to be paying that premium, they want it turnkey. They want it done. So it's just one of those situations where please don't have even Southgate. Even though it's like a hot little market in Southgate.
Yeah, shout out to Southgate.
Somebody's going to call you later.
Yeah. Shout out to Southgate. But even Southgate, you still have to be of the mindset that a normal market is like 60 to 90 days to get a property.
I'll expand it out. That's the same numbers are going to be in St. Clair, Genesee County, Washington, Livingston. Those houses are going to fly off the market too. But again, if it's a little bit of a dud, there might be something that the agent needs to do to fix it up. We talked to Tony last week. Tony Raffin was here on the air, and Tony says, I'm all about the landscape outside and the first impression, how important that is. Again, now this time of year, buy that extra mulch, throw in those beautiful new flowers, the seasonal flowers, of course, for the fall. And make that house, that first impression is going to be what people really want to look at. And a well-kept house is inside and outside. Now, right. Becky, I'm going to go somewhere real quick. We don't have a lot of time left, but definitely people were all freaked out about interest rates. They were doing these, instead of sellers' concessions to improve the furnace, folks, you just blew your money 2 years ago. You had real estate agents and some mortgage clowns out there telling you to buy down the rate using the seller's concessions. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what, folks? That rate's for free today. Mm-hmm. That same interest rate, you were freaking out in the low sevens. You might have bought it down at 6 3/4 or 6.5. You can get that for free today. So, folks, I'm sorry to say, anyone who did a one down, buy down because a seller was paying, I'm sorry. You blew your money. You got bad advice. I warned of that, and I'm going to go there because I warned of it the last 2 years. I'm like, just take whatever the market is, take the seller concession, put it back into the house. Don't worry about buying your interest rate, especially now if rates are coming down, and we anticipated that last year. I mean, if you just worked with a brand new agent and you're clicking buttons, they don't know. God. They don't know what a refi boom is. But you were blowing money. That's what everyone was talking about, Becky. You're looking at me strange, Becky. And they were blowing some dollars on worrying about the interest rate, which, by the way, you can refinance that today and get the same rate.
Well, so the same thing's happening now.
So with you on this.
Because, again, sometimes we are not the first call. We are the second call, but we will be the last call for you. And when we get some of these estimates from competitors, I mean, you see it, and they're like, some of them are like $20,000 in closing costs, sucking out all the equity. And for what? To save an extra $20 a month because you're paying $10,000 to go from 6.25 to 5.875. Like, it's not that substantial of a payment. And, so you have to look at that, and someone has to do a deep dive because, sure, 5.875 looks real sexy on paper.
It sure does, especially now.
Yes, it looks super, like I'm in the fives, right? But if you're paying, there's a moment in time where paying points for a lower interest rate makes sense, and it doesn't. And you have to know, what is your 5-year plan? What is your 1-year plan? The average person does not stay in a mortgage for more than 5 years. It's just there. It's just there.
And Becky, you start paying 1 or 2 discount points, you just handcuffed yourself to that interest rate just to break even. You must keep that mortgage payment.
Yeah, so if it's a $200,000 loan, you pay 2 points, that's $4,000. Like, you can take that and apply it towards your principal. There's other things you can do to allocate that money, to drive that principal down or whatever it is you're going to do. So just be mindful of what you look like or what your things look like on paper. And if you don't know, send it to us. Even if we're not the lender of your choice, I will look at it for free and say, yes, this is a great deal. No, you should probably get another opinion, even if you don't even want us to look at it, because I'm very passionate about that kind of stuff.
Maybe this helps one person save some money. Folks, if you have an extra $10,000, take a look, work with your financial planner, work with a really qualified mortgage person. $10,000. If you put that down on the house, so you don't borrow $250, you borrow $240. Okay, your payment just dropped $63. That's it. That's right. That's it. It's
so,
6.5.
So like,
that's it.
Yeah. So for every 1,000
Panera Bread.
Yes. So like easy math, right, would be, so for, just think about it. Every $1,000, it has about, give or take, about $7 effect on your payment.
Right.
So when people are like, I'm going to put an extra $10,000 down, why is my payment changing less than $70? Right. Exactly. Because people, it's a lot of money cash, but when you stretch it out over 30 years, it's not that substantial. Like, so just think about that.
Okay. We love Panera. Let me just say that. But legitimately, that's exactly what it boils down to. Like, I grabbed lunch for Dave and I the other day, and I was like, okay, $30 for 2 people, but that's what you're talking about on a monthly payment. 2 trips, like for a carry out lunch. Like, does it really
don't
make sense?
DoorDash
$10,000 for that? Like, that's the kind of math that we're talking about where the math doesn't math. And so that goes for a refinance. That goes for a purchase. When you're talking about what kind of down payment should you put, or should you hold back because you're going to need to do a furnace or central air conditioning in 5 years, right? Yeah. Like, these are the kinds of conversations when you consult with a professional, they will help guide you down that path towards making smart economic decisions.
Yes. Like, so same even with homeowners insurance. That's an easy way to save money, but premiums are through the moon right now. They are like so high.
Really?
Yes, so high. And then they're flying over with their drones. And if there's like even a little bit thing wrong with the roof, they're going to really increase those premiums. Like I think I had someone that their premium just went up like $2,400 on a $150,000 house. And I'm looking, I'm like, this is way too high. You need to get it. We need to figure this out. So we do have, homeowners insurance that is key, that when you're buying your house, your payment, there's a lot of things that go into it. And so we're immediately having people shop for homeowners insurance because that's a direct line to what your payment's like. So if you want your payment to be $1,600 and now you give me this $2,400 a month policy, and I was maybe quoting around $100, we'll say, well, now that's an extra $100 to your payment. Now you might be over your budget. So that's something that we're definitely looking at.
Actually, now that you mention it, my husband did just switch up homeowners insurance like last year. That has been some significant changes because if you're not paying attention to it or just getting new pricing as a homeowner or as a buyer shopping around to find some of the best deals, and you're missing the boat. Now, I just remembered that was last year for me.
That's another thing too. Like, well, so like lenders, we get like
your coverage too. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but like so people are programmed and conditioned to shop lenders to death. right? But like, I'm going to call and be like, what's your 5.875 and what's your 5.875, right? There really isn't a much difference, but who you're working with on the other end, that really is what is the differentiator, right? But people will forget to look at their homeowner's insurance,
That's
right?
a big, yeah.
You know, people forget to look at their cable and like little things that you can save money just as a day to day. I mean, my grandma was paying like $200 in cable. I'm like, what are you doing, Grandma?
I hear the music, Michelle. Final last words. Make it quick.
Talk about your listing.
I have several listings.
Call Michelle Saward, eXp Realty.
Buy
That's
some houses.
Michelle's easy to spell. Saward, Saward, eXp Realty. You can find her downriver and all across Southeast Michigan. Michelle, always thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
All right, another version of the Hardcore Mortgage Real
Michelle's
Estate.
got that main character energy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tease next week's show. Now we're going to have some real estate experts on for next Saturday. We've got Mike Tomczyk back. That's right, Paramount Appraisals. They're coming back in to talk about values and all about appraisal information. You need to know that stuff. Of course, for Becky Alley, I am Harvey Freed. 8:56 here in the morning. We will see you next week. Go Tigers!